Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Page, whether it's morning, afternoon, nighttime, wherever you are. If you're watching it live or recording, we're glad you're here.
We are.
And in case you can't read the screen, I'm Jennifer Crosswhite, book coach and editor of Tandem Services with Stephanie Fager, book marketer extraordinaire. I like to add that on there. From the
You're going to
Empower.
have to spell that word for me, Jen, and I will change
You can have that.
it. Oh, I know that. And not only are we glad that everybody that's watching now or later are here, I'm also glad you're here. I know you've not been feeling well.
Yes,
So,
migraines. They're so much fun.
yeah,
Not really.
no. We were just talking before we pressed record how you can have the best of intentions and really great things. And then life, hands you a deck of
Yeah.
not feeling well and I don't know about you in this industry, it's really hard to work when you don't feel well. Like it's just really
Yeah.
hard.
I think whenever you're doing knowledge work where you need to have your brain functioning, it's really, really hard. And I tell my writers this all the time.
Mhm.
Your creativity and your limbic system, which regulates your stress and all of your feelings about that,
Yep.
they're like a light switch. So if your limbic system is on and activated because you're
Right.
feeling stressed or upset or not feeling good, then your creativity is off. And so those things are very hard to walk through and negotiate. And we like to always build in lots of time into every timeline because life happens. People get sick, things happen, your car breaks down, whatever, right? And that's
Mhm.
just how life goes. And
Yeah.
to be honest, there's never any shortage of things to be done. There's always a list, longer than we can ever get to.
Yeah, like
Um,
even today I was doing something for a client. I'm like, I should consider this when I have time to for me. Because, I'm like, but put that on the laundry list. Hey,
right.
Dawn says hi. Hi, Dawn.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Thank
it creates a, oh, hey, Don. Yeah, it creates a lot. There's always so much more that you could do than you actually do, right? So you have to give yourself some grace. You have to work
you.
with your body, with your life, with the time of life that you're in, and just be realistic about that. I talk a lot about Becca Syme and her Better Faster Academy for authors. She
Mhm.
really draws on the Strengths Finder. And one of the things she was saying in her newsletter is, sometimes you just have to accept the fact that your life is the way it is, right? If you have always tried to do X and always get Y, what, unless you change X, you're never going to get anything different than Y. And so you have to like accept that sometimes that's either how you're wired or just the situation. If you have little kids at home, or like in my case, you're taking care of elderly parents or things like
Yeah.
that, there are just circumstances in life that just are the way they are, and they will create the boundaries and the time and the kind of the container that you have to work within, and that's okay. That's just life. Stop trying to beat your head against the wall and say, well, so and so over there can do more. Well, okay, but they have a
Uh,
different life,
yeah.
you
And
know.
here's what you don't know. They might be doing more, but they might be investing for help. They might have
Yeah,
planned things out. They might be feeling the exact same way you do, and you don't know about it. Like
yeah.
what the world sees on the outside and what's really happening in today's social media
Mhm.
space, it's never congruent. And because of that, don't compare yourself to anyone. The secret sauce in book success, I tell people all the time, is consistency.
Yeah,
So just keep showing up. And when you get sick, it's okay. Show back up on the other side. Just
right.
keep moving. Just keep moving. And we all have different goals, all different whys, all different success metrics. And so, and different budgets, which is an
Yeah,
alignment with our topic today, right? And all
yeah.
of that goes into those efforts. So don't beat yourself down. Like,
Mhm.
if there's one thing, two things that are consistent in this world, Jen, it's that change is going to happen and the sun is going to rise.
That's
So,
true.
right, we can get to tomorrow, and we
Yeah.
all got a pretty good track record of making it to the next day right
So
now.
far, we have had a 100% track record of making it to the next day.
Yes, and something's going to present hurdles. The
Yeah.
difference is, though, I've found, and I do think this is also a great topic as it aligns to budgeting, is if things just consistently are easy, you don't hone in on how you could do better, right? Like
That's
it's
very
when
true.
there's a challenge, when you find yourself up against a sickness that you start to realize you need to create more margin. It's when you tried something and you're dealing with kind of wrestling with hardship that you're like, okay, well, how can we navigate this so I don't do it later, or I can't do it better in the future?
Yeah.
And so innovation doesn't come from comfortable situations. It
Very
comes
true.
from
Yeah,
challenges.
when we're comfortable, we're not very excited about making change, like, because we don't necessarily see the need for it. So that's a really great point. It's a great reminder. So yes, as you said, we are going to talk about budgeting for book production, the part of the book which has to do with, this is, sometimes people think of this is the less creative or less fun part, but I think it can be actually be pretty fun and interesting. And because this is a lot of behind the scenes, although we're going to talk about covers, which are very much front of the scene, we're going to talk about all the things that go to, now that you've written it, what things do you need to do to get it out to your readers, right?
Mhm.
So there's a couple, I like to think of it as sort of four main categories.
Mhm.
The cover, the interior, so you want to format the interior for print and ebook. Metadata and categories. This is all the back end stuff that tells the retailers who to show your book to. And then the back cover copy and description. And so I would say two of those are real, actually, they're all sort of marketing pieces as well, because they are, how does your book get in front of authors?
Yep.
But the first of all, cover. Most important thing, next to the developmental edit, this is probably the thing you're going to spend the most money on, because good cover, and again, there's, like we've talked about, there's a wide range. You can get pre-made covers, and I've seen some really good pre-made covers, that start at $75. If you find one that happens to just really fit, and you just luck out, and it is a good pre-made that totally is nailed, occasionally you do see that. That can be great. People also pay thousands of dollars for custom shoots, custom photo shoots and stuff. Usually you see that more with fiction, especially historical fiction, where you need the correct costumes. A lot of times people will spend money to have that done correctly. And then even like fantasy and sci-fi authors, a lot of times will have custom art done for their cover. Most people, you're going to be talking hundreds of dollars. My covers, I have a professional designer that I love. And I usually do my whole series. I have them do my whole series all at once, but it's $300 to $400 a cover. And so that's a good, ballpark. Is, again, everything like we talk about is a bell curve. There's kind of a middle. There's definitely extremes at either end. What I don't recommend is having your friend, neighbor, relative who does art to do a piece of art for your cover. It's very rare that cover design is its own unique thing. So just because someone is a good artist or even a good graphic designer doesn't mean they know how to design a cover, because a cover is a marketing piece. Like, it has to have certain elements. It needs to look like it belongs in your group of your competitors, right? So if you're writing women's fiction, it needs to look like a women's fiction cover, not a sci-fi cover. If you are in the business marketing space, it needs to look like all the other business books, not like a meditation book or something with softer colors, or they already are forming opinions about your book based on what the cover looks like. You're giving them a ton of information right away. And so you need a designer that knows how to do that. And it's rare that you already have somebody in your circle. They could be very talented in lots of other ways, but I often can't find where people are like, oh, I had a friend do a cover because it's this beautiful representation of a scene in the book. And it's like, this is not going to sell.
No, and that phrase, people don't judge a book by its cover. When it comes to this space, they do.
They do,
and
100%.
They do, and they want to feel excited when they look at your book. I'm looking at actually the latest one that I did, and I remember the iterations it took to get here. And here's some key things that I learned in the journey, even by working with someone who knows what they're doing. I needed to understand what the competition looked like in the space. I needed to evaluate that so that I could see how much I was willing to push a little bit or not, right? And in the nonfiction space, cleanliness is like eye-catching.
And there's trends, right? There's trends for that, for sure.
Yes. The other thing is, I want you to think about color, right? And your favorite color may not be the color that the rest of the world needs,
Right.
or that aligns with your target reader. And so color is important, and it's meant to be used very judiciously and appropriately, right? Fonts matter too. Oh my gosh, there's a cover we're working on right now, and I can't tell you how many times we've done some rounds on
Mhm.
fonts, like just
Yeah.
the fonts or placement. The other thing, from the nonfiction side of the house, Jen, is I see some authors that incorporate photos of themselves on the cover, and I have some
Mhm.
strong opinions about that.
Yeah,
If
there's very
if
few cases where that's going to be a good idea.
Right, exactly. I feel like unless you are extremely well known,
Hmm.
then there's really a very little reason for you to have your face on the cover. It does
Yeah,
not sell books. People do
right.
not buy it for that. There is a book I'm working on right now that I'm considering leveraging a photo of myself in it, but it's not the focal point. It's I don't know that I've shown it to you, Jen. I'll have to
No,
show
I
it to
know
you.
what you're talking about. The plant with the
Yes,
plants.
have you
Yeah,
seen the photo I'm telling right?
yeah,
And it's got, but
very,
there's a
very
deep
shadowed.
shade, a
Yeah,
shadow over my face because it's
yeah,
not really
yeah.
about me. It's about this part of what's in the photo. And so definitely be thinking about that too. And kind of connect it all. I see Dawn's going, Comic Sans forever. I'm gonna push back on you because I'm not against, I like Comic Sans. I like some of the other ones. But when we're talking about a book cover, you also really the font like is pivotal to reaching your reader. And sometimes some fonts that are just super simple could make the book cover that could be beautiful, like really
I
miss.
could see doing it ironically in some sort of humorous book, perhaps. I could.
Yes. Well, the other thing I had to share, Jen, moving back to what you were talking about, like doing photo shoots and what have you. You know those really annoying reels that pop up on Facebook? This is from a woman who doesn't really like TikTok, except it has to do with cats. Well,
Right.
there's this reel that keeps popping up, and it's of this guy and girl. Like I don't even know how I found them. I don't think I did find them. The algorithms did. And the other day, she took a photo, or she did a video of her significant other, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I saw you in a bookstore." And he is a model for book
Oh,
covers.
we're
And I
covered.
was like, "Oh, he's really good at it." So I
That's
thought, I
funny.
can't
Well, there was
imagine
the
what
old.
it's like to be on that side.
Yes. So, remember Fabio in
Oh,
the
yeah.
80s,
Oh, yeah.
on all the romance covers and if you've seen the Sandra Bullock Channing Tatum movie, The
Yes,
Lost
I
City,
have.
that's like
Love that movie.
a
Yes,
satire of the whole thing. It's hysterical. I love it because
that was a good
they're
movie.
doing this press conference at the beginning of the movie, and he's got the long flowing hair. But you find out it's a wig because it gets caught in her smartwatch.
That movie
And
and
she's
and Shannon and
gesturing, and his hair
right, and
comes
Channing
off.
is such a ding dong in the
I
movie. So
know.
everybody's like, "Oh," and then when
It's
he
so
opens his
funny.
mouth, like people are like, "No."
It's hysterical if you love romance novels and movies. It's
Yeah.
such a tribute to all of the historical, romancing the stone and
And
just all
Sandra
of them.
Bullock is my favorite
Yeah,
actress of all
it's
time.
hysterical. It's hysterical.
Of all time.
So,
Yes, I love it. I
I
love it.
suppose if you put Channing Tatum on your book cover, you will sell books.
Yeah. Yeah,
Probably.
but probably not if you put you. Like, not
Yeah.
you, but the
Yeah.
person or you
Right.
or me, right? But I
No.
mean the
Nobody knows
author.
who. Well, I mean, for example, okay, so Prince Harry's cover, spare. It's
Yeah,
just his face, right?
yeah,
And we all know who he is. I mean, you see that picture, that
yeah.
cover, you are going to be drawn to it because you're like, oh, what's this all about? I mean, we know because he's in the news everywhere.
Have you read it? You've read it. Did you read
No,
it?
I haven't read it.
I haven't either, but I heard really good things from
Yeah.
somebody who had like mixed opinions on the royal world. And so I'm excited to kind of read it. But I will tell you, Jen, I looked at that photo and I thought, I would have done some touch up. I remember
Interesting
like it's
choice,
super
right?
close.
Yeah, I thought of that too. I was like, there's
Yeah.
some interesting choices that. And then actually, I don't know if I have it here. Oh, I do have it here. Okay, this is another. I should have planned better.
It's okay.
As usual, we get off on interesting tangents there. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's a perfect example. Chip Gaines' Capital
Oh,
Gains book, right? Now, see, it's like he talked about this photo. They were on their way to a photo shoot. He's sitting like on an ATV, and someone just leaned over and snapped the picture, and they were like, that's it.
it's a book
The
cover.
reason it works is we know who Chip Gaines is. This is very much a personal book, right? And he's a rough and ready kind of guy. Like he's not a polished guy.
No, I would be mad if I bought a book of his and he wasn't on the cover.
Right?
I know. Oh,
So that's a very different. Now, obviously, if you look at it again, his face is only taking up half the book compared to Spare, where
yes.
it's the whole thing, right?
Yes.
So those are
Yes.
things that a good designer knows. Okay,
Yeah.
example, look at the banner. It's at an angle. Why? There's movement there, right? The type
Mhm.
choices, the little decorative stuff over
The
here,
spacing.
all of that, lots of white space here. So all those are choices that a designer knows how to make. And
Yeah.
that, I mean, you're right. This would be a very different book if it looked like a typical business book with
Yeah.
just like a red banner and
Mhm.
white type or something like that. Like if you pick up, who am I thinking of? Like a John Maxwell book, right? He's a
Yes.
leadership
Right.
person.
Right.
He's known for like the color blocking and the big title.
Right.
I don't even know what he looks like. Maybe his face is on the flyleaf inside somewhere. You know,
Yes.
that's
But you
probably.
don't need to. But
You don't
what I
need
also love
to.
about that photo is if I see it correctly, Jen, he's wearing the cap backwards and he
Mhm.
looks like he's in a business suit.
Yeah, he's got a suit, but he's like,
Right. Well, and
it's
that's
totally
him, right?
not.
It's the two
Yeah,
sides of him.
yeah,
And it makes sense and it works. But
yeah.
I was looking to see if I have his wife's homebody book somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking, I think I moved it to the bookshelf in the basement to see if that's on there. But you mentioned some of these other really well-known authors who don't put their photos on books.
Mhm.
And that's intentional. Like even just because you can doesn't mean you should. And the same comes true with just because you can go in Canva and create a book cover, does that mean you should? I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. It is, there's a handful of things in this process that are so worth your investment. There is a book I am in the process of doing some research and reading on, and I love the content. And then I went and visited to see what the cover looks like. And Jen, it made me want to like cry on the inside because I'm like, the content's brilliant and people will not know about it
Yes.
because of the cover.
Well, and I will say that leads to the fact you can change your covers.
Yeah, you
I have
can.
changed all of my covers. I think some books are on third covers now.
You don't
And
have to do new editions if you do, right?
no,
No.
don't have to be. The edition just has to do with the content. So just new covers.
Mhm.
Traditional houses do this all the time.
Mhm.
The hardcover will be one. Sometimes the mass market is another. Sometimes if, of course, there's a movie tie-in, they put a new one. Sometimes they
Yeah.
just freshen it up. And that's a great way
Mhm.
if you're learning on the journey and you did very shoestring to begin with. As you learn more, you can easily go ahead and replace that cover with something that's more in line with the market. And also, my first books now are almost 6 years old. And so they need fresh covers because what was in style 6 years
Yeah.
ago is not
It's
the
different.
same. And you want to freshen it up, catch the
Yep.
eye of new readers. So,
Yep.
you're not like with most of the things we've talked about, you're not locked in. It's not cement. You can change things and you
Yep.
can improve and iterate as you go on.
I love that, Jen. I love it.
So the covers of obviously, the huge most important part of things that we're looking
Yes.
at. The other thing though that's really important is the interior formatting, print and ebook. You
Yeah.
want a good reading experience. And the
Yes.
challenge with ebooks are they're actually little miniature websites. And so they're
Mhm.
written in that kind of code, HTML. And so there has been a real big challenge for a long time with getting a print book to look okay in an ebook, right? Because it's not the same skill set. An interior graphic designer, it's going to be a different skill set. There's lovely programs. We both use Vellum. It's
Mhm.
wonderful for that. It does
Mhm.
a beautiful transition
Yep.
to that. And so it's worth spending some time because I have read many authors. Yes, you can take a Microsoft Word document and upload it to Amazon. You can. I do not recommend it
It makes my heart
because
hurt so bad, Jen.
there's all sorts of problems. You end up with a lot of problems with that. You're relying on Amazon to convert it for you, and then you have no say over whether you like how they converted it.
Yep.
And I have seen a number, and this is one of the criticisms of indie books is that it's a poor reading experience,
Yeah.
right? There's not good breaks. Things are run together. It's just weird. The formatting is not appropriate. And so you want to look professional. And so I would definitely, there are certainly plenty of people out there. Formatting is not terribly expensive. We're talking hundreds of dollars,
Yeah.
probably 300 or less. for that. And it would be worth get samples, make sure they really do know what they're doing and can do a good job for you. So you want a good experience for your readers.
You want a good experience for your readers, but on behalf of the industry, can I just ask that you prioritize this? Because I think I don't think there is a really sad stigma at times in the self-publishing space because of this, because people will not think through these things and they have great intentions, but they didn't know or intentionally chose not to make an investment or do some research. And the sad part is it impacts everybody in the industry. Anybody that's self-published, now people go, oh, you're self-published. Well, it doesn't matter, except it boils down to quality.
Right. And it's the preconceived ideas people have around that. Yeah. You don't want people to automatically have a negative bias towards your book. And so definitely spend the time to make sure that the interior looks professional. And then the thing that nobody sees, but actually is super, super influential, is the metadata and the categories. And this takes some time. So do this well before you decide you're going to go upload your book to Amazon. What often happens is people go to upload their book and Amazon has this thing that says 7 keywords and it gives you 7 boxes. And they're like, oh, I don't know, what are 7 words that describe my book? And they throw it in there at the last minute and then they wonder why nobody finds their book. And it's because they haven't spent time researching the market. So those boxes are actually 50 characters long. So it's more than 7 words. It's actually 7 phrases, segments of words that would fit in those. And so this is where it's worthwhile spending some time. We both have a piece of software called Publisher Rocket. It's very inexpensive. Highly recommend it. It's a great way for putting in, you put in keywords like, say if I'm writing, my book on writing and it's fiction writing. So I put fiction writing in there and then it starts populating with my competition. And then I can also ask it to populate with keywords, things people are searching for surrounding those terms and how often they search for them and how much there's competition in those. And so I can come up with a really nice bank of words that help me figure out what I need to put in there so people will find my book because it's what they're actually searching for. So
and you can integrate it, it's a mixture, right, Jen, that those are keywords you want to put in your description. And things that don't fit in the description, you would put in the keywords, right? Because it's duplicative. You don't want the same things in there because they will be, everything in your description is a keyword, right? Like that, they will pull that up. One of the ways that I like to do this is gathering. Well, there's several reasons why you should gather feedback of what's your competition in the space. It's uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. I don't like to know what other people are doing because then I go, whoa, I should be doing it. But it's important. And so gather that research and that will tell you the type of cover that fits in that space or how you could be better. It will also let you know what types of categories that they are in. And that is like unlock stuff. But what I really like to do is take a peek at their titles and subtitles, because titles also, you should be putting some keywords in your titles and subtitles. But I always pull their descriptions and I start to look and go, alrighty, what are some phrases that are consistent? What are some words that are consistent? How are these people talking about things? And do I notice overlaps? Because that's another eye opener to say, oh, well, there's a reason. There's a reason that these people are using it, and it's because it might be how people are searching. I also wonder, you could probably get outside of Amazon and use tools like Answer the Public or Ask Socrates or something like that, that allows you to write in a keyword and see the types of questions or phrases people are searching that could also help and give you insights into keywords and information in your description.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's worth, there are probably people that do this. I have people on my team that do it, but I don't know if you could go on Fiverr and go, hey, I need someone that writes.
But I don't. Okay, here's why I don't recommend it. Because I had someone recently go, oh my gosh, I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on keywords. And I just sat there and I'm like, oh my gosh, what else are you doing? They're like, nothing. So here's my tip, the marketer brain, and we'll talk about marketing here soon in a different call. But at the end of the day, people do not search on Amazon the way they'd search in a bookstore. So they don't go, today I'm just going to look for, historical fiction, World War II, memoir. Like they don't go down that path. They might likely search a phrase or what have you, but many times the books that sell on Amazon are because somebody recommended it.
Very true.
if you're going, I think this is important, so important, but it should not be the only thing, because if
Yeah.
it's the only
Oh,
thing
for
you're
sure.
doing, then you are going to be let down, because there's a lot of competition in the book space.
Yes.
And I was helping someone else with some keywords recently, and like their one word was fertility. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, we have to dig deeper, because
Yeah.
that
It's a
is
huge, huge, huge.
that they might never find a book if they search,
Yeah.
fertility or what have you. And so we dug to uncover these things that people are really searching for. So
Yeah.
I just don't want you to rest on the fact that people are going to find you.
Yes.
If what we want them to do is, if they are looking and you're a solution and they do find you, and or if someone recommends it, they can find you quicker, and that then they love what you bring to the table, and they look at that cover and they look at these elements, the layout, and they're like, haha, this is someone I can trust. I want to buy this
Yes.
book.
It's all part of the package, right? You
Yeah,
need to make sure you're doing
absolutely.
all the right, your due diligence in all of
Absolutely.
these areas. And then that leads us, you touched on this, the back cover copy and the description. So back cover copy is what's on the back of the book.
Yeah.
But it's usually very similar to what's the description
Yeah.
on the Amazon page. And again, keywords are here. This is what
Yeah.
people are going to be looking for. This is a marketing copy. You probably are not gifted in this, right?
Girl, I thought
Um,
I was, and I had you help me with my last book.
you
So
need
you're
it's
too
very,
close.
you're too close. It's very, very hard to have that
Yeah.
perspective on how to
Yeah.
summarize. And it's not a book
Great.
report and it's not a
No,
summary. It
no.
is supposed to intrigue you and get you interested in reading what the book is all about. Actually, if you look at like this one, look how
Yeah.
short that is.
I know.
Super short, right? It's
I
just
find, don't
to
you find
intrigue you.
the people who the more notoriety that you get, the more your back cover copy becomes less, because you don't have to really sell it in the same
Yeah.
way. I've noticed that. I do see some people just do quotes on their back cover, and that always makes me a little sad, because I'm like, maybe for a hardback version, that tends to be
Because
typical.
then
Just
you need to have the info stuff on the fly leaf. You need
yes,
to have that.
exactly. But I want you to think about, when you look at your back cover content and your Amazon content, those keywords, but it's not, look at me, I did da, 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 da. It's this problem solution
Yes.
message.
What is
People have
it for the
problems.
reader?
Yeah.
Yes.
People
For
have
the
problems.
reader.
You don't want to be giving them more problems. You want to be
Right.
answering them and offering solutions. And if you offer solutions, they will invest in that. People buy solutions. They don't buy problems. They don't, they also,
No
right?
need
They
for
also
problems.
don't buy, like, they buy from people and connect with people, but they don't buy something unless you are someone of, big fame. They don't buy it just because you went through it. It's what's in it for me. Unfortunately, we live in a culture where it's about me, me, me. And
Yeah.
so make sure that messaging is written that way.
Yes. I would
Mhm.
say this is very true. And tweaking your back cover copy can be a huge, huge advantage for you if people are coming to your page and then they read it and they're like, and then they're leaving your page, like you want them to stay.
Mhm.
So whether it's on Amazon or Barnes and
Mhm.
Noble or your own personal website, this is a
Yeah.
very key thing to spend some time on. Again, there are people that do this, several $100s, but
Yep.
it's worth at least talking to a marketing expert to
Yep.
help you with this. Is very, very key. And you will use this over and over and over again
Yep.
in all sorts of different spaces as you're talking
Mhm.
about your book and telling people about your book and all that. You will use it over and over. So you get a lot of mileage out of this.
You
For
do.
sure.
And I just want to add on the Amazon side of house. So like on the back cover, you and I talk around like what? No more than 250 words.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of real estate there.
No, keep it tight. On Amazon, you get 4,000 characters. And I say, use every stinking character, people. Don't leave a character out, because that's all searchable. But also on Amazon, make sure that you break it up a little bit, like add some
Yes.
italics or bolds or
Visual
bullets or
interesting.
if
People
it's
don't
just
want to read a long block of text.
when I see that if I want to know that a book was self-published and I go to the Amazon, I look at the description and it's a
And it's a
single
block.
block of text, I immediately know without having to look.
Yeah.
And then I'm already judging.
Yeah.
Even though I'm self-published, I'm
Right.
already judging that someone did not prioritize that in their
They
work.
didn't care enough about the reader to make this a reader experience. And again,
So then what's the book
sometimes,
going to be about?
yes, sometimes people leave this again till the last minute. They're going to upload their book and like, oh, a description. Okay, well, this book is about, this journey through France. I went 1 year and it was really great. And I learned all this really cool stuff. Like, no, you're not thinking about your reader. You need to spend some time on this. It needs to be iterated. You need to have people give you feedback on it.
Absolutely do.
It's very important. So this is this is a place where you're not going to spend, other than the cover, you won't spend tons of money,
Sure.
but it will take time. So you need to be thinking about this. You can work on this stuff while your book is at the editor. I would absolutely be working on this stuff and thinking about it all through the whole process.
It's not beach day when it's at the editor. It's what can I be doing that's not focused on the book inside so that I can be poised for success when it comes back. Yep. Yes. Very good points, Jen.
Very cool. Well, next week we're going to talk about the fun part, which is launching the book and then ongoing marketing. And again, that's one of those things.
It's fun for you and me, friend, but most people think it makes them want to throw up.
One of the things you can spend a lot of money or a little money, whatever you want to do.
Absolutely.
So that'll be next week. Right now, I'm going to talk about the book of the week, the quote. This is such a great book. So I have such a huge to be read pile. I was like, I'm not buying any more books till I get through my pile. I say this all the time. And then, of course, Michael and Megan Hyatt Miller put out a new book called Mind Your Mindset, and I have followed them forever. I'm a big fan of their Full Focus Corner and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really great. So when this came out, I was like, oh, I don't know. I like what they say. I'll get it later. And then I bought it.
Then you bought it.
And I'm so glad I did.
Is it good?
It has been really, really fantastic. They're talking a lot about brain science. This isn't just about positive thinking. This is really about beginning to rewire your brain, why our brain tends to run on autopilot, and just some really great ways to level ourselves up just by, rewiring our brain. And there's a couple really great quotes in here. But the one I picked for today is, our success often depends on our willingness to accept the discomfort of uncertainty while we press toward better solutions. And I will say that defines the book journey right there. You are going to be uncomfortable throughout all of it.
The whole thing.
That's okay. Like, that's exactly where you need to be to move forward. You're going to have to feel uncomfortable. So I'm not even really very far in this book, and I think it's fantastic. So pick up.
Well, and hold on, open it since we talked covers. Let me see, because I love how they're the whole flap and everything. It just looks
so then
beautiful.
You've got the flaps
that are blue.
More description on the flap. This does have tons of quotes on the back.
Yeah.
The flaps are the book
where the info is.
And
it's really beautiful
on that one. But the layout is really well. I mean, he used to be a publisher for Thomas Nelson, and so you've got pull quotes. So it's very readable. It's lovely. It's very easy to read. Nice spacing. Again, that's things that an interior book designer knows. I can definitely tell when someone doesn't know how to design a book. It's hard to read. It's an uncomfortable experience, and you don't want that for your.
Not at all.
For your reader.
Not at all. Because when you give your readers an experience that's positive, they become a street army for you, and they tell people
that they do
for you.
Yes, they absolutely do.
They absolutely do.
Well, authors, thanks for joining us this week. And as always, we want to remind you that you have power, your message has power, and your words have power. And so we invite you to bring that to the page and beyond, and join us each week as we talk about all aspects of books and marketing.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.